Enrico, we have lots to talk about. We're going to also take a deep dive into your new book, In Person, which I'm going to hold up here. I've got it in person in front of me. But before we do that, Enrico, it'd be good for those, and I'm sure they're few and far between, just to give us an introduction to who you are, what you're currently up to within the event space. And then I'm going to ask you some questions around some of the themes of the book and your experience within the industry.
Okay, so I am Enrico Gallorini. Most of the people just know me for the name Enrico. I'm Italian, and I'm the CEO of a research company that is very specialized and focused on the event industry. So I'm super passionate about our industry, and I'm also a very lucky person because many things in my life are just amazing. I'm a father of two wonderful daughters. I have a wonderful wife. So yeah, I'm a lucky person.
I'm also the father of two wonderful daughters, and I also have a wonderful wife. So we've said all the right things that we need to say at the beginning of the podcast. I'm really interested to know a bit of the background about my guests and sort of what their background has meant to them and how their experiences have taken them through their journey in their professional careers. So I'd love to hear, to start off with, about your upbringing, Enrico, where it was and what sort of aspects of your childhood or family life that you think have influenced you during your path in the wonderful world of events.
Okay, so let's be very open. As I already mentioned, I'm quite a lucky person because I'm coming from, I would say, a good family from Venice, wonderful parents, and an incredible brother. And in my childhood, in the village where we have this house, that was the house of my grandfathers and everything, that was the place that since I was really child, I remember a lot of gathering of people. So my parents they really like to do gathering events, and it seems like that my life for some reason put me on that path. And there are, apart from the house, apart from my parents, that I think the first thing that I remind to my childhood is my parents laughing with other friends. Yeah. There is also something strange about the name that I have, my surname Gallorini, because I don't think many people in the world has a sort of gathering with the people of the same surname. But Gallorini do the Gallorinata, the 2nd of June, all the Gallorini of the world reunited close to Florence, where my family was. Yeah, it's crazy, I know. And then being Italian, I think that also the Italian culture really put me on this idea of gathering and events. As you know, we like to meet to eat together and then to talk and then to eat and then to do other things and eat. So being Italian, I think, allowed me to love a lot about this. And probably have to say that my brother was the person that really put me inside of this event mood. He's a black belt on organizing parties. And since when we were a child, he had 2 birthdays per year. The winter birthday and the summer birthday. But just as an occasion to meet people. So these are the things that somehow...
That's like the Queen of England. The Queen of England, I'm sure, used to have 2 birthdays.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so obviously growing up in a family environment around food, obviously they are events, right? You know, we go out for dinner or we have people around for dinner, they're events. What about some of the values from your childhood that have sort of stayed with you in your professional life? What did that sort of instill in you?
But for sure, this idea that we are social animal, and the most important thing when you socialize with the others is respect. Respect is one of the deepest value that was always part of my, let's say, family, and it's still today very important for me. Respect the other, knowing that, being somehow, let's say, lucky and everything, we are not all the same, and so respect all the opinion of the other and put this word as the milestone of everything you do in life.
Sure. That's a good lesson for people listening. When we spoke previously, you mentioned that you started organising events during your university years, if I'm not mistaken. Talk to me about what drew you. We've spoken about your upbringing and gatherings in your family, but what drew you to the professional world of events? And how did those sort of early events experience and shape your career?
I had the chance to do my fourth year at the Italian high school in US, and I went in this incredible experience where at the Boston College there were events and all the other things. So I was really looking to go to the university to find all this moment of gathering and everything. When I went to the Venice University, actually we were in a separate part of the university. There was nothing at all. I said, where are the parties? Come on, guys, what's wrong here? So with some of my best friends, still today my best friend and my wife, we start up, even if in those days we didn't call it startup, a little company that was called Unimind, like University Mind, and we start to organize some events, and incredibly they became quite, I would say, important. And we organize the winter party, the summer party, the spring party, and then also Miss University in the part of the region, the Northeast region, Veneto. And there were some parties that we organized with over 4,000 people. That at that age was interesting, with a quite different way of thinking, because in that period, probably you remember, the disco start very late at night and everything. But probably because I was lazy and I didn't like to go late at night, we start the disco experience at 9:30. We had free buses that from university bring the students to the various discos, and that also allowed us to get in touch with the city and create this sort of support each other because of not alcohol and the other things. And at the night, at midnight, we do also the spaghettata. So with the spaghetti pasta with some chili inside that also help us to, let's say, reinforce the people to drink. So it was a first experience that was we were very young, I was 19, but was very successful. And I understood that event could be an interesting, I would say, experience, not only business. It was really interesting to meet all these people and have the occasion to be somehow the organizer of something that was nice.
Fantastic, thank you. You're the co-founder and CEO of GRS Research and Strategy, and you have been for, I think, 13 years? Just briefly, tell us about that journey, how you got to start that business. I'm always interested to understand, the formation from university events to...
But in the meantime, after the university, I had the incredible opportunity to start working in a research company with my professors of the thesis. And it was a research company. I started up those company with two professors, quite crazy. I was 22 years old, and they and I became their shareholder, but they were quite more important people than me. And we started doing research, but then we discovered that the best way to present and display research was organizing an event that was in the automotive business. And without knowing, I started to organize an exhibition. But I didn't know that was an exhibition. It was an instrument to present to the niche of automotive dealer the results of our research. So it came from another way around, but then because there was the opportunity to have also some supplier of the industry, maybe you know that dealers from a specific brand doesn't actually really meet other suppliers. So we put this all together and it became a little quite interesting event that became actually the biggest in Europe quite very fast, and then the second in the world for the automotive dealer industry. And I found it when I was 23 years old. And it was amazing because I realized in that moment that those events that could be the entertainment one, that was the party experience, can be also very, I wouldn't say serious because it was never serious. I'm not a serious person, but was something very oriented to business, to create this community. And these people that gathered there, they all belong to the same automotive ecospace. I was very fascinated. Then in 2012, for various reasons, I sold the shares of my company, and I take some time for me to understand what I want to do. And the events were really something that was exciting me, but also my background, all my studies and everything in terms of research were important. So I say, it could be amazing to do something like a research company specializing in the event industry. And so I started and it became even bigger than I thought.
Yeah. Which we're going to talk
Probably.
more about. Thank you. And we're going to sort of roll forward to more present day for the moment. Obviously, you've written this book, and it's, I've spoken to people that have written books before. It's not an easy thing to do. And I'm interested to know what inspired you to write the book, firstly. Why did you think it was something that you wanted to do for your own personal, experience, and also why you thought other people would be interested in what you had to say?
Let's be very also transparent. It's a very difficult experience. You can do it only if you have a family that support you, because it takes a lot of time. And this is a superpower that I have. So a wife that say, yeah, it's a good idea, do it. But I didn't really thought to do this book for the people and outside of myself. It was very important for me to take the time to reflect and put also outside of my brain all the
Yeah.
thoughts that I had about what could be the event of the future and all the other things. Then, going around, meeting a lot of people and try to share my thoughts and my ideas. Sometimes people say that are original, and few people say to me, you should write a book. Then another person say, why don't you write a book about this? I did it, and it's crazy. Trust me that I'm speaking about my book. It seems like a dream because I'm
Sure.
still shocked about this. But the main point was really to take away a lot of my thoughts that I also sometimes when I sleep, I wake up and I write down something and put it together. And it was an interesting journey, especially because I discovered that there are very few books in general about our industry, and they are much more on the operational side of our business. So I tried to do something that was much more, I would say, a journey inside of what are the events, but even before why events are so important. So that was the reason that I
Thank you.
start. And
So we're going to explore some of the themes in the book. And the first one I'd like to talk about is, I guess, the history and the origins of human gatherings. And it's interesting, this resonated with me because during the pandemic, the first or second lockdown, I was privileged enough to have a conversation with Phil Saw, who is, the chairman of Closer Still
and I,
Media and 19 Group in the UK. And is, like, I guess, the godfather of the exhibition and trade show industry, or many people refer him to that. And he remained very calm during lockdown because he was saying, there have been pandemics and there have been wars and there have been plagues, over 600-700 years. But people have always wanted to get back to meeting in person. And he was telling me about the history of trade shows going back to, I don't know, 14th century or something like that. And so he remained pretty sanguine and upbeat that things were going to return. And, lo and behold, he was proved right. And I think some of the themes that you explore in the book are quite similar in terms of, there were origins. You trace the origins of gatherings, like from ancient rituals to modern spectacles. So in what way do you see these historical gatherings informing how we sort of plan events today in terms of fostering community and connection?
the point is that when I had this idea to write down something, my main goal was to think about the event of the future.
Yeah.
But the only way to try to understand about the future is to have a the best representation of the present. And I'm lucky because as a researcher in this industry, I speak with a lot of people, we have a lot of data, a lot of information around, but the present is just the result of the trajectory from the past. So I start to go back and try to understand, but when it all started, and I went back and back and back. And at the end, I discovered for myself, actually, that if many other much more intelligent and important people than me think that the secret of the humanity success in the world is the ability to tell stories, and the storytelling is the way that allowed us to survive, because we don't have anything to attack and nothing to protect ourselves. So we were able to share and to help our community with these stories. I discovered that the tool to make those stories happening are events. So I went back to this moment in which it's called the cognitive revolution. That is when really the humans start to use the vocabulary in a different way from other animals. And again, at the beginning, it was just probably gathering in front of a fire because we needed to share the way that we can hunt and the way that we can protect ourselves and everything, or cook and other things. And I saw that during the time, this evolution were very connected also with the evolution of the events. And one of the first things that the humanity put inside of the event is the rituality. So that is something that, wow, I say, wow, rituals, rituality. And going back to your point about the pandemic, we all remember that after the pandemic, the organizer, for example, of an exhibition, tried to change the date and everything. But now everything goes back on the same position on the calendar because it's not chosen by the organizer. What we call an event, an exhibition in particular, it's a sort of ritual where a precise niche of people know that in that place, in that time, they gather together. So rituality, it's something that is very old and it's very important today. The second element that for me was immediately important that period, but is still very fundamental today, is the concept of spirituality. So all of us, we all know, we all have experience when, for example, when we are in a concert all together, that we all sing the same song and we are all there, thousands of people. We know that there is much more than just our body and our presence. Being in person with other people, we have this connection with something bigger where we want to belong. And I feel the same today in all the events where we participate. I was recently in a very precise niche event, and all the people wear their badge because they want to have something that they belong to. And this is, again, I cannot say spirituality, but why not? It's the same. We want to be part of a community, and to have this community, a community means to have some rules, some elements, and the event, usually the exhibition, represent the most important moment, the most of the time, of this community to get together. So I feel that our job is really also about not only trade, not only things. There's much more that we create as an industry, and this rituality and this spirituality comes very, very, very far away from where we are today, but it's still so important in each event that we participate or that we organize.
Sure. Thank you. And you describe gatherings as moments where people can co-create the future. Could you share how you see modern events playing this role today? How do we go about that?
And so for me, I want to make an example about exhibitions. I think exhibition is just one sort of event, but it's probably one of the most sophisticated. And I always say that exhibition are a door for the future, into the future. In any exhibition that you enter, actually, you really enter in person, and whatever you meet inside, whatever is the content of the exhibition, that is not the content in the screen. The content of an exhibition is the content inside of the exhibitor booth. They talk about the future. They display the next product. They display the next generation of things that they are doing, the next services and everything. So exhibitions are a door into the future of humanity. And this is not only about business. Every time that we go to an event, somehow we show the best part of ourselves. I was just looking my daughter a couple of weekends ago that she went with some friends to a concert, and she was, wow, so cool, so energized, and she was so happy because when we attend live in person or something, we really show something that is the best version of ourselves. So when the people go inside of these places, I say they co-create, because if we think again about exhibitions, company that probably outside of the venue, they are competitors, but inside of that space that we call exhibition, simplifying the complexity of what is that event, in that place, they are not competing, they are cooperating, sharing clients, sharing thoughts, sharing ideas, knowing that together they are stronger than alone. So this is the point of co-creation. I see events, moment where we share, and we share with the idea of doing something better for our niche, our company, our community, and this is very fascinating for me.
Sure. Thank you. I was I guess lucky, depending on your viewpoint, to go to the Taylor Swift concert with my daughters at Wembley. And actually, it was really interesting outside, the sense of community, people swapping bracelets, wearing the t-shirts, talking to each other, people that had one thing in common, they like this particular artist. But from that, I got the sense it was much more than just attending the concert. It was getting to meet like-minded people in an environment. So it was fascinating. I just want to move on. You've also shared a story about a challenging time in your life that I guess reaffirmed your commitment to the events industry. How did this experience, and if you want to share what happened, influence your outlook on events and your sort of purpose in this field?
Okay, so let's put in this way. I had a couple of months in my life that were very challenging because I have a physical, very strong disease, and it happened exactly in the moment that my wife was pregnant in the 8th month. And when my daughter was born, I was absolutely very in a bad shape from a body perspective, but especially from a mind perspective. I was very depressed. I was 32 years old. You are in the moment in life that everything goes great, and I have this physical disease that was very, very complicated. And immediately after that, my daughter was born, and technically I was not even able to take in my art. That was very, very tough. And a few weeks later, my mentor, that was also the shareholder of the previous company, just died. So all of these things that are very strong and shocking came in few months. So I say that if life want to give me a signal, this is very clear and strong, and probably the path of my life was very fast. I was 32 years old, co-owner of this company with many employees, traveling everywhere, but continuous study. I've studied so much and everything. So everything just stopped me. And that was an important moment of my life because I tried to understand what I want to do. And I start saying that I'm a lucky person, but I'm really much luckier than what you think because life gave me another chance and give me the opportunity to understand what I want to do. And taking that time for me with my family and other things and going deeper on this passion about event, I discovered that is a world, that is an entire ecosystem made by different layers. I discovered more the exhibition industry that in that period I was an organizer, but I didn't know all the other things. And that gave me a sort of purpose that is, wow, this is an incredible industry. I cannot compare to the automotive, that is another incredible industry. But the human element in the event industry, it's really amazing. And that gave me also the purpose of doing better and more for this community as a researcher, as a person that tried to think. And I had this second opportunity. And when you have it, you understand that many times probably you just, I don't know, some people say that I'm always happy and I'm always hype and everything. That is not true. Like
Yeah,
I'm a human like all the other, but I went very deep on
sure.
the bad side of life that now whatever it happened is just a little thing.
Well, thank you for sharing that today, and it's definitely inspiring to hear that from I guess a low point and a difficult point in your life, it's allowed you to thrive and foster in a community that you know and love. Enrico, you've described events well, in a metaphor, I guess, as a soap bubble. I guess fleeting but emotionally impactful. Can you expand on this and how it relates to the lasting legacy that you believe events can leave?
Yes, I'm very passionate about in general art because I think that art it's something that really elevate the humanity. I I was born in an incredible country like Italy where there is a lot of art, and I have studied art, and I believe that beauty exists. And when you see something in art that is very beautiful, you understand that that aesthetical element it's very close to the ethical element. And I think these two things comes together very close. And for me, one of the most fascinating form of art is what is called ephemeral art. In Italian, the word is amazing. It's arte effimera. Ah, I love this word. In any case, what is the ephemeral art?
That sounds like a
Ephemeral
fine
art.
wine. That sounds like a fine wine.
Ephemera. Ephemeral art, maybe the most common example that you do is the mandalas. So these monks in Buddhist that they create with the sand day after day this incredible design with the sand, and when they finish it, they just disappear. So ephemeral art, it's something that almost disappear immediately. And thinking about our industry, it's like this, because there's no words that you can explain an event, or you live it or not. And for me, that idea of the soap bubble is because when an event exists, it's really like a soap bubble. It's sparkling, it's a lot of light and give you a lot of energy, but then it disappears. And this is something that who organize event or who is in the event industry know perfectly that after the event is finished, there is what I call the event blues. That is those soft moments. But the difference between the ephemeral art, where I really think that events are the purest form of ephemeral art because their legacy lasts forever. This co-creation, these moments where the humanity connect, just do not disappear, became part of that body, mind, soul that has participated to that in-person experience. And so
Sure.
again, the soap bubble, it's a way to describe, but for me, it's much more about the purest part of our job. That for me, it's an art.
Yeah. And I think it's the same, not
Ephemeral.
just obviously, not thank you, not obviously just for trade show and exhibitions. I remember if I go to soccer football matches, and it was a great game and it meant something to either winning or whatever. I remember, I look back at some of those moments and as you say, they're lasting legacies as a moment in time and the connection that I had with the people that I was there. I want to move on. You speak a lot and, this is on vogue and we talk about this at the moment. Lots of people are on their phones, their laptops. There's lots of working from home. You've referred to, I guess, anti-social media, the fact we're in a hyper digital world. Why do you believe in-person events are more essential because of that? And how do you think in-person events, I guess, can counteract the trend of sort of hyper isolation that we see?
Yeah, this is something that if I go back thinking about the event of the future, I relate a lot about this historical moment where we live, and there are some elements that come all together that make me think that our role will be even more important in the future because we have seen the growth of the event, the booming of the event industry that is very correlated with the booming of social media. So it's just growing like this, exactly like social media. Because actually, social media, we use two words that, especially the first one, is not really social. We
No.
are becoming
Yeah.
much more isolated. We don't have time to get inside of the full of an experience. And this isolation is also affecting a lot the people at work. I also say that probably events could be the office of the future because company doesn't have
Yeah.
any more offices, but we know I'm CEO of a company and I know how important it is to create that atmosphere, those moments that bond the group of people. But probably we
Sure.
don't have the budget to create this moment together. But we have the budget to go to some conferences or to some events. And what I really see also from my experience, but talking with many people, events is a very good occasion also for companies to have those moments together. So this hyper isolation needs to meet, the people need a place to share. And I see events playing a very important role in this isolated and more
Sure.
isolated world.
Yeah, you make a good point as well, because obviously the next generation, or Gen Z or Gen A, can't remember what all the different generations are called, are going to grow up without what we experienced, which was a traditional office environment in the office probably every day. So they don't actually even know what they're missing because they haven't had it before. And so, as you say, the opportunity to connect with staff and teams at events as well is going to be really important. Just want to move on. The last couple of years at least, the events industry has been awash with webinars and talks about the impact of AI, artificial intelligence, and how that's going to impact our event experiences and promotion of events and so on. You talk about it in the book. I'd be interested to just get your snapshot of how you see AI impacting our experience of events and how it can be integrated without losing the authenticity of human connection.
Yes, so my point about AI, I'm a big fan of AI and I want to make it clear immediately. I am almost addicted about ChatGPT and all the other things. And I think it's a huge improvement of humanity and everything. But for the event industry, this has a sort of even more important philosophical impact because we are already entering in that moment in which we will be not able anymore to understand what is true and what is false. And this is a big problem because with all this device, probably in 1 year, 2 year, you will not know if this is the real Enrico Gallorini or is just a new
I think I'd
generation
know.
of AI.
I think I'd know.
Yeah, but
Because I'd
let's
ask
put
you,
it
I'd
this.
ask you, the way I'd be able to tell, Enrico, is that I'd be able to ask you about your experiences as a child, having dinners where you grew up. I'm not sure AI could replicate that, but maybe.
But maybe, again, the point is that probably is not so deep because we're having a conversation, but on instant situation, we will not be able anymore to understand what is true and what is false. And it's already happening. And what is happening is that this is impacting a lot the concept of trust on the overall experience. So I really always say that event cannot be faked, full stop. And the full in-person experience is not just a transactional. It's not just see something, hear something, everything. No, there's the full ourself that is also our soul, our energy, and all these things are really fundamental to create trust. So trust has always been so important in the exhibition industry, for example, when large events, government events and everything, we know how important it is. I think in the future it will be even more. And all the data that we see, for example, I was just reading at this article that for the Trump election, the events that they do around US this time were attended by 3 times the people that attend 6, 7 years ago.
Really?
And it's
Okay.
crazy if you think of it. Yeah, but why? Because the people want to see the things, not only see, want to experience, want to be part of that community, want to share those elements. You already mentioned Taylor Swift. This is where we are going.
Yeah.
And our role in this digital, difficult to understand what is real and not world that we are entering, the role of the event would become even more important, and probably the responsibility that organize a human gathering will have in their hands would be fundamental for the future of humanity.
Sure. And you mentioned future. You've described exhibitions, and we touched upon it as, I guess, portals to the future, where attendees they can catch a glimpse of what's to come. How do you think organisers can curate this sense of forward-looking vision? What's the value of showcasing innovation at events?
Yeah, I think that one of the most important thing when we think about exhibition and why exhibition exists, it's really not only about trading, but it's especially to see the newness, to see this future that is the content of the exhibitors. In the moment in which, for many reasons, for any reason, in that exhibition, there's not enough future-proof content coming from, let's say, free. Actually, no, because exhibitors pay us. They pay the organizer and they display the future. Wow, what an industry. If in some case, those content are not so engaging and important to bring visitors, attendees, buyers to think about the future, I think would be the responsibility of the organizer to bring the future inside of this exhibition with what I usually say the square of innovation or the place for future-proof stuff and other things. And we have seen a lot of this, especially when we think about exhibition related to, I don't know, fashion, the importance of the new material and everything that usually you find in the booth. But if for some reason some of the big and most important player of that industry decide not to participate, that is a nightmare, and we all know. It's important for the organizer to think that that place has to be replaced by himself, to become the one that knows the market and anticipate the market with something that is obviously coming from their studies, knowledge, and everything.
Thank you. You've been in the industry for many years, not to age you, and I'm sure you have many years to come. How do you feel the industry's changed since you first began? I guess especially in terms of the way that we plan and experience events.
But I would say that for sure, what I'm seeing today it's a much more blended experience with all the app that we have, the website, and all the possibility to connect. That is fundamental. This is something that somehow, for many years, the industry was looking for something like this, and probably, I think I would never say thanks to COVID. But in general, because of COVID, there was a very boost in terms of innovation. And that's, I think, it's something that is not, it's going to increase even more. So the need of creating this continuous connection with the industry, it's something that probably when I start, it was not like this. At the end of an event, you say, see you next year, maybe probably in 2 years. But now it's see you next occasion, next week or whatever, creating this community that is going on.
Sure. And reflecting on your journey, can you give us a sense of some of the most memorable moments from your time in the industry, whether it's a memorable event that you've attended or an experience that you've worked on?
I have to say that usually it's not easy to say, that was my favorite event. But in this case, I'm very, very, very easy. It was last year. I was in Las Vegas for the UFI conference, the Congress, and I had the chance to go to see the U2 concert at the Sphere. Wow. That was probably, I also say in the book, is one of the reasons why I decided to write the book. Because it was so shocking, so amazing, so full of everything. I still remind my body how incredible was that experience in this moment that I would say, wow, is that the future of the event? So from there, I start to think about also to build this book. So for me, I have to say the U2 concert last year at the Sphere was absolutely unique.
It does look amazing. I've yet to get there. Enrico, if you have a young event professional listening to this podcast, they're just starting in the industry. If you think back to Enrico many years ago and someone was going to give you some advice, what advice would you give them to sort of make a meaningful impact?
I think honestly that the most important thing is authenticity and passion. This industry has to have both. First of all, because you are really in front of the people. And you cannot lie because it's yourself. So authenticity, it's like this. You cannot lie when you are really in person. And passion, because this industry is very stressful. We need to deliver. And if you do not have the passion to support you, this industry is quite tough, can really put you in a situation that you burn out easily. So I think all of us in this industry, somehow we are connected to this purpose of creating something good. And I also want to say like this, probably I have this vision about the event, the importance of the event. I also wrote a book, it's crazy, about the event to justify the passion that I have to this industry, that I honestly believe it's the most incredible and amazing one. And I honestly believe, but probably I also say I honestly believe because I need a support that say to me, yes, it's the right industry, you can do it. And I think for the new talent that they will come in this industry, they will discover an incredible ecosystem made by a lot of authenticity, authentic people. And I think this is a lot. This is a lot.
And finally, and I'll hold up the book again, if people can see that. What do you hope readers and listeners will take away from In Person, the book that you've put out? How do you envision the book inspiring others to rethink the purpose and power of events?
Because probably as I mentioned, I'm very enthusiastic about this industry, and sometimes we forget how important we were many thousands of years ago at the beginning of the human evolution. We were during the journey of this evolution through different stages of humanity. We are today because we are really fundamental in this historical moment to create and co-create something better. And I think we will be even more important for what we say before of the AI and the digital and the isolation in the future. I really hope who eventually have the chance to read this book that will discover this element of importance that for me it's really foundational, and I hope can help also some other people to say why I'm so passionate about this, because it's really important. It's really at the base of humanity.
Enrico, thank you so much for your time today and giving us some glimpses into the insights that you've gained over many years of excellence within the events industry. Congratulations on the achievement of putting a book out. Will there be another one, do you think? Or was this going to be the first?
As I said, it seems incredible that we're talking about my book. I'm so still overwhelmed. Why not? I would say.
Why not?
For now, I can say I keep and enjoy this moment. That I also have to say that I'm very happy that many people like it, and it's incredible. Honestly, I didn't expect this.
So I will put a link also in the bio of this. Sorry, I'll put a link in the description of the podcast. I know people can buy the book on Amazon.
Amazon, yeah.
Thank you, Enrico.
Thank you very much. Great honor, really. Great honor to be here.